Today I'm going to show you how to mount a image, an img file for gem5 using qemu. This will actually allow you to not just put files on the disk image but also to run them. So in my home directory I've got a file called bench.c, which is a benchmark, and gem5 directory where I've installed gem5. So I'm just going to make a directory here where we're going to put the disk image. And then we're going to go grab the image. This is about 268 megabytes, so it may take a little bit of time to download. Once we get that ARM system image, we're going to extract it and then mount it. And then we're going to use qemu to actually run the system locally. The difference between qemu and gem5 is that qemu is simply an emulator. We're going to extract the image here, jxf, and then so gem5 is the cycle accurate simulator, so they both run an ARM binary, but one is cycle accurate, which is necessary for timing, whereas the emulator qemu can run those same instructions and translates them. So we've just extracted the disk image, and now as a result of that we've got a folder called binaries and disk, and we're going to go into the disk directory, and in there we've got our img image, which is what we're interested in. We're going to mount that using mount with a loop offset and then the image file name here, and then we're going to mount it to /mnt. We're going to do sudo mount bind and then proc to mnt proc. I should just be clear here. The reason we're doing that is we've got mnt now with all the directories that were in the img file. So all these here are coming from this disk image which was mounted. So again, we're going to do sudo mount bind proc to mnt proc, and sudo mount bind dev to mnt dev. Alright, now if we try to do change root right here, we do sudo change root to this directory, it's not going to work. And that's because our image that we're trying to mount is for the ARM processor, and so we can't actually mount that. So we're going to use qemu. So we do sudo apt-get install qemu-user, I can spell, static. So this is a package, part of qemu, and it's about 57 megabytes there. We're going to download that. Alright, so now once that's finished up, we've got sudo change root. Let me try that again. To this directory, the dot. Didn't work. So there's a few other packages which are needed. Try qemu and qemu-user and qemu-system. 106 megabytes to download. And hopefully once this is done we'll do sudo So I had to change root into mnt. So you didn't actually need to install those other packages. Sudo change root here. Alright, so now you'll notice we went from the $, which is regular user, to a pound. And we're going to run echo nameserver 8.8. 8.8. I'm going to pipe that into the etc resolv.conf. And that is the DNS server for Google's public DNS. What that allows us to do now is we're going to do apt-get update, and what this is doing is it's running apt-get against the operating system within the image file. So that's good. We've just connected to some outside server called ports.ubuntu.com to do our update, and we're going to run apt-get install sysbench. Right, so this is our little benchmark that we can download onto the image, and we're running the ARM architecture here through qemu. And then just for fun and giggles, we're going to copy that benchmark that I wrote. So we'll do scp php 10.10.10.129. Hopefully that's the correct location. Yes. Alright, so I just showed you that we now have bench.c in the root. We're going to move it into root. cd root. Now if we try to compile that, bench.c, now we've got the executable for that, and we'll do a.out. So that little benchmark just takes a little bit of time. That's running within the emulator. Now we'll run the sys benchmark, but again, this isn't cycle accurate, so it's not going to be relevant for the timing. See if we can get the commands here for sysbench. Alright, so if I do sysbench test CPU, and then CPU max prime equals, say, 100, and we'll run that. So this is a test bench called a benchmark called sysbench. We're going to run it, but again, even though this is running within the ARM architecture through qemu, the timing isn't relevant because it's not a cycle accurate simulation. But this is just to show that sysbench runs and works. And then we're going to get out of that mounted image. We're going to type exit. So now we're back to our host system, and we're going to unmount those file systems. So we're going to go to a directory that we're not mounted in, and we'll type sudo umount, and then we're going to undo the things we did earlier, which are mnt-proc and mnt-dev and mnt. Alright, so now we're back, and the trick is here, you'll notice if I try running sysbench again, it doesn't work, and that's because it's not installed on the host system. It's installed within the qemu image. So I'm going to go back to full system disk. So that sysbench program was installed within this image. So now when we go back and mount it in gem5 using a full system emulation, that program will be available. And then we can do our cycle accurate simulation with the ARM architecture.